Hi, my name's Ian. I'm a Quaker and I'm involved in the Ecumenical Accompaniment Programme in Palestine and Israel. And it's a project run by the World Council of Churches to support communities in Israel and Palestine who are involved in the peace process, in ending the occupation of Palestine. And it's a sort of practical project helping people on the ground, and I'll be returning there in November.
My name is Ram. I am a member of Muswell Hill Quaker Meeting, and I have been involved with QPSW in the peace work, which leads me into working in conflict resolution area in South Asia.
I'm Paul Ingram. I'm the Executive Director of the British American Security Information Council. We work to bring government officials and others together to try to find solutions to the barriers to achieving the vision that we have of a world free of nuclear weapons. This is a vision that doesn't just mean one or two governments getting rid of their nuclear weapons, but across the piece. It means involving the Israelis, the Iranians, the Egyptians, the Americans, the Russians in quite complex negotiations. I do this from the perspective of a Quaker. Quakers have historically been involved in many protests, but also we are involved at the heart of government in trying to find solutions through dialogue.
My name is Oscar Wallace, and I'm a member of the Quaker Meeting in Leicester.
And I'm Annette, who's Oscar's wife, and I'm also a member of Leicester Quaker Meeting.
Friends have a very powerful witness when it comes to reconciliation, to creating spaces for dialogue, and it is by that combination of powerful witness, powerful protest with, at the same time, that very quiet diplomacy that marks Friends out as very important parts of the move towards global peace.
I was being inspired by Gandhi and Marjorie Sykes in India. Marjorie is a Quaker, and also senior friends like Adam Curl and Joe Elder, Andrew Clark. The dedication with which they have worked has very much influenced me in the Quaker Peace Testimony.
I was at sea during the war in the merchant service and was trained as a ship's officer, as third mate and second mate. And I was already a Quaker. I came out of a Quaker family in Yorkshire, and I had to face the fact that as a Quaker, I would have to be a conscientious objector. I had to face the possibility that I would have to do gunnery training and aircraft gunnerying to defend the ships that I was working on. And I realized that being a gunner would be contrary to my Quaker principles, and so I refused gunnery training and became a conscientious objector, and eventually had a tribunal before which I was called, and was eventually, they asked me what position I was prepared to take or what work I would do, and eventually they discussed the question, and I was transferred onto a hospital ship, which of course was unarmed.
I think how being a Quaker shapes and inspires the work that I do is mainly to do with being part of a community which nurtures me as an individual, but also allows me to sort of think about issues and concepts in ways that perhaps I didn't before I met the Quakers. So, you know, I didn't really see myself as somebody involved in peace before I was involved with the Quakers. That was very much something that's been nurtured in me as part of the Quaker community. I think it's also to do with having a sort of an example of an alternative community which demonstrates a different way of living. So I think peace to most people in mainstream society is a bit of a sort of fluffy word really, but I think Quakers through very practical day-to-day interactions with people and with politics really try to embody what peace means.
I'm John Angus and I was the photographer involved in producing the photography for Make Peace a Way of Life campaign that was shot here at Friends House in London. When I came here to do the photography, one of the most interesting and fascinating things that happened is as each subject came into the room and I was introduced to them, I immediately sensed a great sense of a presence of each of these characters, which is something as a photographer is quite unusual really. I think I immediately knew that my job was here to record those people rather than it be a relationship between the two of us. As soon as they came into the set and they stood, I immediately just, my job was almost already done and complete because these people had such great power and presence around them, which is something I've very rarely come across as a photographer, and it was a great pleasure to be involved in it actually.
As a Quaker, I really, I suppose, got into some direct peace action with the First Aldermaston March in 1958. We had felt very hopeful getting married soon after the war because it felt like a new era beginning post-war. But by the middle 1950s, it was already the Cold War, and we were worried about, we had a family by that time, and we were worried about strontium-90 in the milk of our children. And the first Aldermaston March was very exciting because it was at last an opportunity to do something. And Oscar went on several of the 4 days, but we all went as a family on the last day, pushing our youngest, who was only a month old, in a pram, and the three others in a pushchair and walking. And we went that last day, and it was wonderful to make that witness. It felt very important, and I've actually never let up since, because alas, there's been no opportunity to let up.